as well. He's just such a force to be reckoned with. Now, game 2, we're going to take the teams to Sky Temple again, or they're taking us to Sky Temple again, rather. It is the map choice of TheOne. So, not a classical TheOne map, I would say, in terms of catering towards their playstyle, because they are a team fighting team, right? Which is oftentimes their downfall in international tournaments, because enemy teams can just scout them out and play very well around it. But against other Chinese teams, they consider themselves superior in terms of macro play, even, I think.
I would agree. We will see. We'll see if they can keep that up, though. Their macro play in this game was very impressive.
True.
For now, though, on Sky Temple, we're going to see Diablo banned away. That's an interesting ban for this map. There's not actually that many really good angles, except for, like, I would argue, bottom shrine, that you can really get a crazy amount of charge value out of. So, interesting ban for starters.
And here comes the Tracer. We do not know who's going to play it on the side of RPG, because RPG traditionally doesn't have this legendary Tracer player that everyone in the league is fearing and respecting, like Aluful, for example, right? Or Melody C on the side of SBT. But here I'm wondering, who could it be? And what are they going to pick against the one that is? Are we going to see a variant maybe? But we see the Genji for Meng. That is already scary.
It's already scary. They know their priorities and they're happy to pick them. And bringing in the Blaze as well. Extra protection for Genji, Deflect, and a Bunker. Always fun. And of course, we're denying it from the Tracer composition. However, they have left open Tassadar.
True.
So the question is, how much RPG can prioritize it? Are they going to go for a hyper carry Tracer style, or are they going to go for a little bit more of a passive Tracer style?
Yeah, there's many heroes you can go with Tracer these days. Even a Zarya, like, is not something out of the realm of possibilities here. But Zarya has been kind of falling off in the meta. We see her every now and then. I think we saw a little bit of it at the mid-season brawl. But normally with a hammer, which is a hero, by the way, that was reinvented by Rich on Gen G. And we've seen that actually in multiple games ever since. I've even seen it in Hero League now. So many people go for the Sergeant Hammer and protect it, but very few can actually execute it the way Rich does.
That was actually quite fun, being one of the only casters at Mid-Season Brawl who knew the Hammer talent names, because I'm the only one who's memey enough to pick the hero pre the event.
Nice,
so that was
man.
fun. We had a quick refresh session during the game where it was picked. But the Tassadar is highly prioritized enough here, and we see the Muradin as well. So this is very standard, very safe by RPG, not going for anything super crazy at the moment.
Yeah. It's been a while since we last saw Tassadar in China. Used to be the go-to, of course, in all of the Heroes esports scene, when his prime was basically there with other heroes that would be so good alongside him. But ever since then, much has changed. The double support meta, of course, has largely vanished. Only, you know, in a few games these days are teams willing to bust out the Vala double support maybe, but with Tracer, we actually don't really see it that often anymore. So let's see what it can still do in 2018. But Genji already a great counter to Tracer for multiple reasons. The most important one being Deflect. If Tracer doesn't stop attacking the Genji in time, she's going to take an absurd amount of counter damage.
Genji can struggle, though, against the double support lineup, especially one with Tassadar. Dropping a shield on an executable target can be a huge deal and make it much harder for Genji to get those executions he will be looking so keenly for.
Look at Hehe, by the way, just chilling in his chair, man. He's just such a boss. Whenever I see that guy, it makes me think back to the Eastern Clash in Taiwan player interviews, and he was like, yeah, Gen G, who are those guys? We're going to beat them. Boom, 0-2.
Yeah, he's a troll guy. I like it. I really do like TheOne as a team. They seem always super chill.
Yeah.
But either way, it is time for their next picks. They still need a support of their own. They might even bust out that Alexstrasza for themselves, but they might struggle against Tracer. So I'm thinking more along the lines of potentially an Uther or a Stukov, something along those lines.
Yeah, let's see what they're going to be able to pull off here. By the way, I'm pretty sure, like, I just checked our group here, our communications group with the Chinese production crew. We're probably going to have Irel, right, next week, if I'm not mistaken.
I would believe so. It's been 2 weeks since her release by that point. Like, quite a bit, I believe.
Yeah, so Irel is no longer going to be irrelevant in the HGC.
Hey! Hey! Well done. Karazim coming in here as the support, so still got that little bit of burst protection and that AoE. I would argue that Karazim is basically the halfway point between Stukov and Uther. It does pretty decent damage. The only difference is it has no crowd control.
Yeah.
It does pretty decent damage, a little bit of AoE healing, but a little bit of burst healing, and some burst protection with Palm.
Yeah, and also against the Tracer, the Karazim, of course, is a formidable support for two great reasons, right? First of all, you have a little bit of extra damage to pressure her when she's getting cheeky and feisty. And secondly, you have a level 4 talent called Earth Ally, denying so much auto attack value from the Tracer.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact that, like you said, Karazim hits very hard.
Yeah.
Can actually do a nice amount of burst damage to Tracer. In fact, when we were interviewing Tempo Storm at the mid-season brawl, we were asking them what supports that they think were relevant. They went through the standard list, and then Sam, I think, goes, "Oh, we like to let June pick Karazim sometimes if he wants to punch some weebs. Also, Tracer counts as a weeb." In their words, like it was Hanzo, Genji, Tracer were like the main heroes to pick Karazim against because he punches really hard. But Zeratul and the Alexstrasza giving it another go. But the Zeratul is interesting here, giving them a little bit of fight control, a little bit more burst.
Yeah. Man, if I was TheOne right now, like if this was, let's say, a Hero League game, and I would see the enemy team's draft, like Tracer, Tassadar, and Zeratul, I would be like, oh, God, not one of those games. It's going to be so hard to lock anyone down. It's going to be so hard to catch them because they're also slippery. But, well, looks like TheOne is going to have to pull it off. And they do have a couple of lockdown tools. And there goes ETC coming in. More lockdown. And not really a whole lot of tank shredding, per se. So I like this pick.
The TAS tank shredder build, which is, in theory, the best tank shredder build because it significantly does the most percentage damage the quickest. But it's also potentially not a very popular build. So I would be very surprised if we saw that. He's probably just going to go with the standard Lightning and Shield. But the ETC, let's count the interrupts. Muradin Stormbolt. Tracer gets stuff. No, she can't get in range. So yeah, Muradin Stormbolt and Alexstrasza Dragon Queen when to buff it. Those are the interrupts for Mosh Pit. That's interesting. So we got double Shimada burst for Karazim burst, Blaze engage, ETC engage. Pretty good peeling and protection for that squishy backline. I dig both these teams' drafts, but I think TheOne's is easier to execute.
For sure, which is kind of ironic because they're supposed to be the better team mechanically. So you would normally think that they would go for these wonky, weird, and hard to execute drafts. But no, it's RPG showing no fear, no respect. Can they do it, though? That is a totally different question. If it were a team of the caliber of SBT or CE, I would be like, hey, that's a great draft. Let's do it. But RPG, as one of the bottom-tier teams last season, do they have the play material to make it work? We're going to find out. TheOne on the left-hand side, again with Hugo on Blaze, this time Muggle playing Hanzo, Genji, of course, playing by Meng, He's going in the ETC, and ZJZ on Karazim.
And on the right, it is RPG with Chicken on Tracer, MJ on Alexstrasza, Sar on Tassadar, C on Muradin, and Wrong is playing the Zeratul. Also, not the author in the chat, isn't ETC a tank shredder? I see what you did there, please no.
He's a crowd pleaser, that's for sure.
Yeah, as we see it, puns are always welcome on this channel. As we see the level 1 talents looking pretty standard for everyone, Scatter Arrow, Iron Fist, etc. And it is the Scion Fusion coming in for Tassadar.
Yeah, and Tetra, you know what? We talked about this talent. The Flames of Fury for Alexstrasza. It is locked in this time for MJ.
Oh,
it is a talent that we're not really used to seeing, but it looks like MJ was like, okay, I wasted a couple of Dragon Queens there last game. Let's try to make it less bad if we fail again. So now, of course, you have a stacking talent here. If you land the Flames consistently against enemy heroes, look at ZJZ actually completely out of position. You can't dash to buildings, mate, and there was no ally to really help him out of that pinch. So already not only getting a couple of stacks for MJ, but also getting first blood for RPG.
Yeah, first blood. Well, nicely done. Looking for a second here, but it's Genji, so see you later, nerd. As Meg just walks away. That's what happens when you're a Genji. The thing is, you always expect Genji to dash away, so a lot of the times you will just see people just give up early when trying to kill a Genji because it's like, oh, he's going to burn the ability. No, just keep committing and just force him to burn the cooldown. But we also see Perfect Storm.
Oh my god, Chicken, you can't do that! You need to stop attacking when Genji's upping the deflect. Did you see how much damage he took?
Yeah. Like, just reload, hit H. There are many
Do a quick
really
B-step.
good options. Do the B-step, yeah. That's a good way to do it. Oh, man, that'd be so interesting. Just literally porting in the middle of a fight just to stop attacking.
Exactly.
Would be
Oh,
interesting.
goodness.
Then what if Genji doesn't attack you back and you accidentally don't stop porting in time? That'd be embarrassing. As we see MJ cleaning out the lane as quick as possible, he's looking for heroes to try and stack that flame buffet on, but everyone's dodging him pretty effectively. Finally lands a Muggle, but he needs to land the second hit to get the stack. I believe he did just get one there, though.
Yeah. So far, you know, it's basically still a pretty good position for RPG to be in. They can defend the bottom lane very nicely. They even have mercenary advantage now, pushing in their favor. So well done by them. They were able to get a kill early. Zeratul is looking pretty spot on with those engages so far. By the way, MJ no longer committing to this Flames build. He's not going for the level 4 follow-up Heat Exhaustion, which would increase the slow value to 60%, but he's going for the good old Surge of Vitality, which is basically going to give movement speed everybody who gets the Abundance heal.
But it still allows him to consistently build into getting the cooldown on the Dragon Queen as low as possible. But it's just not as much slows, like you said. Another talent absolutely worth pointing out. In fact, 2 talents worth pointing out. We'll start with Kala's Light. This makes a lot of sense here when you're against burst-heavy compositions. Even with a Tracer, it just makes so much sense to grab the armor, and it helps with Zeratul. But we are seeing the influence of Luful seeping in. It's untouchable coming in for Tracer.
Absolutely. It's not even CE playing, but still people on the Tracer go for Untouchable, which of course caters towards an aggressive playstyle. You need to get those stacks going, which you basically get after every single takedown. You don't have to execute the target, you just need to be part of the takedown, and your attack damage is going to be permanently increased. Once you die, though, you lose all those hard-earned stacks, and it's one of the few questing talents left in the game that actually reset completely after dying, which is very punishing.
Nice little charge onto C on the way out. Hugo will easily be able to retreat here. He'll take a little bit of damage, but he's going to be able to pull back pretty easily here. Does put Pyromania, though, just to be sure. Better safe than sorry, but it's a fairly long cooldown, unfortunately. Looks like we are just going to see the trade here with middle shots, Wall taking out the tower and likely the fountain as well. Whereas top shots, a couple will be traded onto the structures up there.
Yeah. Could it be that this is the first game of Hugo and Blaze that we witness in HGC China?
I believe it might be.
Yeah.
I think you might be correct there.
I think already Hugo has been working over the last couple of weeks after the mid-season brawl and you know, the previous season of HGC China to expand his hero pool, which always has been his greatest weakness. He was so easy to figure out by especially other good teams that oftentimes he remained a fairly unimpactful player. But now with you know, in meta heroes most importantly, like the Blaze, he can definitely be a whole more impactful. Now, he diving in deep, takes a forward shot, gets slowed in the process, gets slowed again by Muradin, and here comes Tracer to maybe wrap the beef in a nice post bomb, and he gets the kill. That's already the second kill for RPG and the first stack for Untouchable on Chicken. He's looking good so far.
Yeah, those loudspeakers, not enough to save HGC here as Chicken picks up another kill. Like you said, those stacks going to be so important later on. Alexstrasza's going to have her work cut out to heal Tracer, which is why she's gone for her own self-sustain with that extra flame healing as Meng chasing down Sa. Alexstrasza healing, though, pretty good. C is going deep for the amount of hit points he has, though. Meng gets detonated, and they're looking for more, looking for ZJ set, but it's not enough damage.
Yeah, that was so reckless by C. You saw it, and you mentioned it. He was just inches away from the healing circle, from the abundance, right? But he refused to get in there. He wanted to use his thick dwarven body to basically body block and slow down targets so that Tracer would get the kill. It worked out. Another stack for Untouchable on the Tracer. And RPG, although it would be exaggerated to say they're coming out swinging, but they're certainly not giving in, and they're maintaining a solid, even count on experience.
They just keep stacking. This is good by RPG. A lovely performance in this game. Looking much more like they did in the very first few minutes of the previous game, but in this case a little bit better. Looking for Muggle, but Chicken gets wrecked by ZJZ. Absolutely punched to death as, wow, ripped stacks. We were just talking him up, but turns out punching weeds could work really, really well against Tracer sometimes.
Absolutely, and that is the power of Kharazim, ladies and gentlemen, especially after he obtains the third strike, you know, the third Radiant Dash at the level 7. That's exactly when he has enough punching power to basically blow people up, and that's what they did. Now, I think TheOne is just baiting this boss. I don't think they want to fully commit to it. They were just waiting to maybe find someone on the side of RPG isolated to maybe catch them with the level 10s. But speaking of level 10s, speaking of heroics, they're available for both teams right now. Sa takes the shield, takes the heal, and he stays alive for now. Very important.
Level 10s available for everyone. That's a haymaker coming in here.
Oh boy, here we go.
Everyone else, the Archon, full tasked up, pretty standard here. Cleansing Flame, Void, Prism. In comes C. Nice little face melt there. They're making him take a couple tower shots here. As Wrong, though, able to deal a lovely bit of damage to Muggle, forcing him to pop the fountain.
Simple geometry is now completed for Hanzo. They still don't have Genji here, though. They still don't have Blaze. So I think TheOne, they're willingly giving this one up. They're saying, you know what, we're going to pressure the other lanes. Look at Hugo, by the way, in the top lane on the Blaze. He's probably going to tear down this fort if nobody defends it. And looks like they're willing to take temple damage in exchange for XP and pushing power elsewhere. And if you think about it, structure damage is the most important thing on Sky Temple next to killing the enemy heroes, right? Because once you have a structural lead, you can always kite and run away. As long as you take a temple, you're never going to fall behind in terms of structures. So that's what TheOne is trying to do right now. They're trying to establish dominance in terms of structures by pushing top and middle at the same time.
Zeratul trying to protect this top fort, but Hugo just too much sustain, just standing in the minion wave, taking through it. And with the help of Genji, this will be top fort going down. Bot fort's a little low as well. I'm not sure. Oh, Void Prism. Okay, so what we're going to see here is RPG try to pick up 2 kills here, which is pretty interesting considering they could have just pushed bot, but they're probably going to get at least 1 bunker to try and commit to the fort, but they don't get it. Genji escapes, but a sneaky boss attempt. Can they rotate down in time? They're on the way. They better hurry up.
Genji is trying to dismount. He's trying to buy time so that the enemy team members won't make it in time. And he successfully does so. The Dragon Queen is popped as well. A one-man mark, but are they going to get him?
Didn't even power slide, just stood still and hit R. In comes the boss attempt. Boss still being channeled. It's a 4 versus 4 here. 4 versus 5.
Haymaker.
As Blaze on the way, they're moving in. Haymaker, but Meg comes in for the save. Tanking through with the deflect. Now as DJ get the double power slide. Dragon arrows downtown, but they stole the boss. Looking for the kill on HGC, but he's tanking through with his own self-healing. But the boss is stolen.
China is back to business with exactly those kinds of plays that we love to see. I mean, there was no reason for Chicken to go on the left, right, when all he needed to do was stay with his team and then go together. I think they could have decided that fight way earlier, but he tried to go for those tracer flanks and the one-man mosh pit. It's questionable to say. I don't think it was a bad move per se, but maybe with a mosh pit available on the point, on the capture point, they could have done a little more. So was it all planned by Chicken, the mastermind, or was it just an unfortunate turn of events for TheOne? You will have to look at this again in the replay, hopefully after the game.
Oh my god, Tracer going for the auto-attack heals? I don't even know what that talent's called. But yeah, Tracer choosing to not go for what even is on that level.
You could go for Ricochet on that level. The bullet spray. Yeah, it's the leeching rounds. Yeah.
Which I believe does stack with the amount of damage done. It's not set amount, so in theory it could stack with Untouchable, which would make you super shady.
It could be crazy in terms of self-sustain if you manage to not die, which Chicken so far unfortunately hasn't done well.
20% of the damage dealt. So you're going to do less team fight damage, but you're going to be in the fight longer. So it's interesting. More stacks is going to make it better. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, it's of course stacks on top of Tassador's life regen, of course, so there could be an absurd amount of life leech, but they first of all need to get it. But speaking of RPG, the boss was a nice distraction maneuver. They managed to gain control over the bottom temple as well, dealing some heavy damage onto the middle fort. And they're starting to come into this. Dragon's Arrow just missing by inches. Can they get the kill on Zeratul? I don't think they can, because Karazim, guess what? He doesn't have the Bloomin deployed, so no reveal.
No, that was really clever what Karazim just did there. It didn't work out, but what he did is he put down his Earth ally over the wall.
Yes.
Right as he got to it. He knew Zeratul was around the area, but invisible. Now, the standard thing you will see in a lot of the times is a hero will get behind the wall against a hero like Karazim, which they know doesn't have poke or a skill shot. they'll just port the second they're behind the wall.
Yeah.
So Karasim just grants himself vision and prepared to commit to a kill and hope his teammate would arrive in time to let him dash out. It's a super risky move, but it's super cool to see as a little team fight begins to break out.
Okay, C was trying to bait a couple of abilities onto himself. The Stormbolt doesn't connect here, unfortunately. ETC is now fully stacked on the Proc Rock here, providing additional AoE healing, just like Tassador now fully stacked for extra damage on the Psy Storms after almost 12 minutes. Nice. That is very, very quickly done here. That is going to be a huge power spike for RPG now.
As we see here, you can see that these are the quickest times other players have been able to do that. Zhuyu, Soap, and also Soap have been the
Must have been a Tomb of Spider Queen game, I guess.
I believe so. That was pretty mental. As we see Genji is actually moving into the top lane, looking for Wrong here. Does he have Blink? Yes. Wormhole Jukes? No. Meg's got him. Rumbled. Down goes Wrong.
A good try, though, by Wrong. I'm not going to lie. That looked very fancy. Very flashy, but it was not
gave it a go.
Enough.
If Karasim hadn't been there, he might have got away. But either way, we are seeing the way of 100 fists coming in here for Karasim. So all in on just beating up that Tracer.
Exactly.
Very sensible here. Doesn't really need too many cleanses. Muradin is really the only CC he has to worry about. So just going to rely on his team to, not get Haymaker. If they get Haymaker, then they have to escape by themselves.
Really good move, though, by Wrong. He basically he kept his calm, He didn't use VP. He could have used that in order to escape, but then they wouldn't have had VP for the Temple phase. And I think he was willing to take this death just as long as they have the VP during one of these objective fights. There's only one Temple, so there's less probability of the enemy just trying to kite and go for another temple. So this is going to be another point of interest for sure. Both teams are going to clash there, and with VP being available, the chances of RPG doing well are much more increased now. Uh-oh.
Here he comes, the bullying onto Muradin.
No Avatar, by the way.
Completely taken out. No Avatar, no assistance. He was very far forward on his own and just got absolutely stopped.
Yeah, I think those are the moments that really make you a better tank player afterwards, because I'm pretty sure C is going to, or hopefully he's going to learn his lesson there. There was no way he could afford to go in that deep. Muradin is one of the tankiest, if not the tankiest warrior right now, but even he can survive, especially when you don't have Avatar. He's got the healing static, but that alone is not enough to keep you alive there.
Here we see the shots continuing to come in onto the bot lane. This is the only objective. The boss, though, is being picked up by the1. Are RPG going to do this? Is Oracle available to see it? Doesn't matter. Too slow. Already down. Wrong wraps around. He was thinking about it. Passed by Meng, but did not scout him. As both teams beginning to move towards that bot lane. As this boss with a Siege Giant camp, the shots from Temple have opened up the keep. They might try and make a play, but it looks like the1 going to be a bit more passive.
This bottom lane is going to get crushed, man. There's a boss coming in, there's a Siege Giant camp reinforcing, and the Temple already destroying the towers. I'm not sure why the1 didn't decide to really push with it. I think they could have forced the issue maybe. Instead, they're trying to take even more map control. They're stealing the Merc camp here, the Bruiser camp on the side of RPG, and that is a saving grace for RPG. I'm not sure if they can save the keep altogether. Tassador shields cannot be underestimated, though. Is it going to fall? No, they saved it. Really well done here.
Yeah, that is alive, but there's no mule here. Tassadar lost that talent a very long time ago, so as such, that will probably fall to these minions if they're not careful. They should really send someone down to clean up that minion wave. Oh no, they're when minion wave spawn. They'll be fine at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
But now we are waiting for the next objective phase. As the boss is gone, it's going to be a top mid phase, which is potentially good for RPG that they saved that. That they were able to save that bottom four, because if it hadn't been if it had gone down, then catapults would have accumulated in the lane furthest away from where they were. Of course, Stashdar cleaning up the Brood's camp. Someone does, in fact, need to go down to bot because there's a whole lot of minions of the Genji there, and you can finally see them rotating.
And Genji is a very safe backdoor, if you will. He's got several escape tools. He could also outrange the enemy keep with shurikens. So let's see how long they can defend that. RPG, by the way, super aggressive build by C. I can't believe he went for Dwarf launch at 16, giving him a longer range on the Dwarf toss, and also a cooldown reduction, I believe, if he hits enemy heroes. So, of course, that synergizes really well with the Haymaker, right? What he is trying to do is he's trying to close the gap just like he did against Meng, and ideally he's going to lock someone down, Haymaker them into his own teammates, and then they can execute that target. Genji, unfortunately, is the hardest one to kill.
Yeah, he does dash out. The crowd control was not enough that time, but did force him to use a Swift Strike and dash out of there, which prevented any extra pressure being dropped onto that bot lane. And once again, bot's alive. It continues to live here, so buying more time for RPG so that they can try and actually contest this objective. But this Bruiser camp, very nicely timed by TheOne, is going to force a reaction. So the question is, how quickly can RPG clear it? That's the plan right now. Rush into lane, push up as far as you can, take the risk of getting ganked to clear this as quick as possible so you can react and fight the objectives and protect your other keeps.
Yeah, also super good locations there from the temples for RPG, you know. No temple in the bottom lane, that would have been 100% destruction onto the bottom keep, but middle and top, they're going to fire into their lanes respectively first, so the bottom keep remains untouched for now. Now, are they going to split the temples equally? I think they will, because the one is just so short to getting 20. Here it is, and now we have the Storm tier towns available, but see, that doesn't stop them from trying to get a kill.
They look for Blaze, but he bunker times very nicely. Now ZJZ is the target, but he's got too many allies around, can just dash around. Wrong's been forced to blink out. One-man mosh pit. The Bloodbuster gets it. In comes the Cleansing Flame, though. Can she keep them alive? Voidbristle will separate one, but it does actually save one member of RPG here. C tagging through, finally taken down, but he's dropped Genji super low as Chicken try to climb backwards. Dragon not available, gets taken out. Wrong's too low, and it's basically a 2 versus 5 at this point. Chicken all alone. He's sustaining through these chicken rounds. We're getting a bit of value here, but he's still alone. He's gonna get punched down, dashes back once, and is gone.
It's good healing. It's actually kept him alive for a long time, much longer than I thought he would be. But in the end, it was such a cloud fight, but there was no level 20. But look at that tour bus from Hehe. He's coming in laughing and having a heyday. But now, look at that VP. It's good for the save, but the palm was even better. If they get the kill there, I think they could have turned around. But after that, it was pretty much over. Zeratul so low, can't really do anything anymore. Tracer healing up a little bit, but it was too little, too late. And TheOne takes it in pretty dominant fashion without losing a single team member. They're already knocking on the base's door. Can they get the middle keep? The top one is falling already thanks to Temple. Not sure if they can get this though. Tassadar shields are pretty good at defending.
The keep will go down. The core might not. There's also a huge minion wave pushing in the bot lane for RPG, but it's pushing up to tower range at this point, so that will start to be dealt with. But now it's the question of how much are TheOne going to commit? The answer is they will definitely not commit to the core. Boss will be back up soon, so they can just back up and wait for that. However, this does give RPG time to get 20. Unfortunately, it's going to be a 20 with all their keeps down. That's less than ideal.
Yeah.
If this is a one temple phase, this is going to be defendable for RPG. They can potentially...
It's two
temple phase. That's going to be hard. It's possible, but very difficult. These are soaked for 20. If they can, getting the boss would be so good for them. It would deny another loss condition. But they have no vision. The Tassadar is a bit busy clearing lanes right now to give them that vision. Zeratul might even die here if he's not careful. As you can see, Hehe hovering around the area. Will spot Wrong here. Camp is scouted.
Okay.
They know it's not being taken. Siege Giants relieve some pressure on the bot lane. And everyone begins to move up. Zeratul needs to be careful. Just going to pressure Hehe, in fact.
Yeah. There's only two ways for RPG to stay in this game. They force a fight somewhere with a VP, or they force a boss battle. Like, those are the only two things they can do. Everything else will cause them to lose. Never mind. Hehe dropping very low. That is a huge one. Look at Genji. They weren't even trying to fight here, the one that is. They were just trying to survive, just trying to keep their opponents busy, because Genji had been pushing in the top lane all the while with the mercenaries, with the catapults. And what can RPG do?
There we go.
Yeah.
TAS? Is no one going to deal with that?
They can't let that go through.
The Bruiser camp should protect the catapult, right?
Yes, it does.
There's another catapult here as well. Genji's still here. Finally, Tassadar's going to head back. I think they were just making sure that the boss wasn't being taken in that moment, so TAS will finally clear this up, and actually the core takes no damage here, only onto the shield. So pretty good here. This forces Genji to back up, and now the Siege Giants in the bot lane. The pressure is multiple angles here for TheOne. RPG in serious trouble as C puts
it all
pressure
comes down to Zeratul.
Mid as Genji goes to top. Someone has to deal with Genji, or they need to pick up so many kills right now.
VP on one. This is not good. Only hitting one, though. There goes the mosh pit. The tour bus again. They're trying to force their way through. One person falls. No, the palm is good. And look at the temple. It's dealing so much damage. Hanzo is dead, but does TheOne even care? Do they even mind it? I don't think they do. Look at the core. Down to 20, down to 10. It's too little, too late, Tetcher. It was so hard for RPG to make this in the first place, but the VP needed to hit more than one, unfortunately.
I don't even think the VP needed to hit more than one. I think that fight, the second they
Yeah.
didn't fight them on the point.